In July 1518, in the city of Strasbourg, a woman named Frau Trophäa stepped out of her house and started to dance. There was no music, there was no festival, there was no reason. She just started dancing in the street. And then she didn't stop. Not that hour, not that day. She danced until she collapsed, slept where she fell, woke up, and kept dancing. She did this for somewhere between 4 and 6 days straight, and then it got worse because other people started joining her, and they couldn't stop either. This is Oops History, true stories that sound fake. Today, the dancing plague of 1518, the deadliest dance party ever recorded. First, context, because 1518 was a rough year to be alive in Strasbourg. The city had just been through waves of famine, bread prices had hit record highs, smallpox was around, syphilis was new and extremely popular, orphanages were overflowing. If you were a peasant in Strasbourg, your life was an unskippable ad for suffering. The vibes were, in a word, medieval. So when Frau Trophäa started her involuntary solo performance, people noticed. Some onlookers thought it was a joke, some thought she was possessed, some thought her husband should be worried. And by all accounts, he mostly stood there, which fair, there is no manual for this. Within a week, about 34 people had joined her, dancing in the streets day and night. Not joyful dancing, by the way. Chroniclers describe people screaming for help while their bodies kept moving, begging bystanders, weeping, their feet bleeding through their shoes. It was less flash mob, more horror film with choreography. Within a month, the number had grown to as many as 400 people. The city of Strasbourg had a full-blown epidemic of uncontrollable dancing and absolutely no idea what to do about it. So the authorities consulted the finest medical minds of the era. The doctors examined the dancers and delivered their official diagnosis: hot blood. The dancers, they said, had overheated blood, and the cure— I need you to sit down for this. The cure was more dancing. They just needed to dance it out of their system. The government of Strasbourg heard the disease is dancing and prescribed dancing, and they committed to it. The city built wooden stages for the afflicted. They cleared out guild halls. They hired professional musicians, pipers and drummers, to keep the beat going. They even paid healthy, professional dancers to dance alongside the sick, to hold them upright when they sagged. Strasbourg looked at a plague and turned it into a city-funded music festival. It backfired instantly, because it turns out that when you fill the streets with loud music and public dancing, more people start dancing. The music made the plague spread. Attendance went up. The city was running a super spreader event with a drum section, and people were dying. In the summer heat, dancing for days without rest, dancers collapsed from strokes, heart attacks, and sheer exhaustion. One chronicle claims that at the peak, the plague was killing up to 15 people a day. Historians argue about the exact death toll. Medieval record-keeping was not great, but the deaths themselves show up in multiple sources. This dance floor had a body count. Eventually, weeks in, the authorities realized their plan was a catastrophe, and they slammed it into reverse. Dancing was banned. Music was banned. There was an exception because bureaucracy is eternal. At weddings, you could play stringed instruments, but absolutely no drums. Strasbourg wrote percussion out of the law. Then they went full medieval. The remaining dancers were loaded into wagons and taken to a mountain shrine of Saint Vitus. They were given little crosses and red shoes, some sprinkled with holy water, and a ritual was performed over them. And slowly, through August and September, the dancing faded out. By autumn, it was over. So what actually happened? 500 years later, we have theories. Let me walk you through the corkboard. Theory 1, ergot poisoning. Ergot is a fungus that grows on damp rye, and it produces compounds chemically related to LSD. Eat contaminated bread, hallucinate. Sounds perfect. Except ergot poisoning also cuts off blood flow and causes convulsions and gangrene. It makes limbs die, not dance in rhythm for a week. Most historians say ergot can't do sustained choreography. Theory 2, tarantism. In southern Italy, people believed a spider bite could only be cured by frantic dancing. It's where the tarantella comes from. But Strasbourg is very far from Italy, and nobody there reported spiders. Next, theory 3. The one most historians land on, mass psychogenic illness, a stress-induced outbreak. Here's the recipe. Take a population squeezed by famine, disease, and despair. Add a deep, sincere local belief that St. Vitus can curse people with uncontrollable dancing. Add one visible trigger, a woman dancing in the street. In a SUG,